actions, they speak louder. We like not just
which is the best one to use. Now I've done Hey guys, Level Cap here. Today I would like to do an updated video on the best assault rifle available in Battlefield 4. Now, I've done videos on this in the past. I've done one almost 2 years ago talking about what I think the best weapon in each category is, but so many things have changed in the last 2 years with new DLC, new patches and gun balances, and a completely revamped attachment system. Now, in order to make this video, I kind of wanted to do a combination of looking at the research and what the pros use and what I really enjoy using, but then also just go in with a clean slate and try out a bunch of assault rifles. Even if nobody's really recommending them strongly, I want to go in, try them out, see how they work, see how they function in different situations, and ultimately come to my own conclusion. This will be my opinion at the end of the day, but it will be an opinion backed up with a lot of research. Now, Simthic.com is going to be a necessary tool for this simply because it'll allow me to just cut out some assault rifles right from the start because they don't meet my requirements. Low rate of fire and low DPS assault rifles just aren't going to make the cut. If you can't kill somebody faster than they can kill you, then it doesn't matter how accurate the weapon is because you're just going to get out damaged. So unfortunately, I cut out pretty much any weapon that was shooting slower than 750 rounds per minute, with the exception of the Scar H because of its higher damage per shot. Now, the guns I brought out to the shooting range were the FAMAS, the AEK, the ACE-23, the M416, the L85A2, and the Scar H. The M16 didn't make the cut because I don't really like the burst fire weapons, and the F2000 just has too long a reload versus the other benefits it brings to the table. From testing on the shooting range with multiple attachments and stuff, I decided not to take the FAMAS out into the field. It's an amazingly good gun, but simply because of its rate of fire, reload speed, and magazine size, I just didn't see it being that versatile for dealing with multiple threats. And ultimately what I'm looking for is a gun that has some versatility to it, can take on multiple targets when I run into them on the battlefield. And the FAMAS is the ultimate weapon for taking down one, maybe two opponents at best, but beyond that you're going to have to switch to a sidearm, and I'm not really looking for the best one and done weapon out there. I need something that can deal with the squad of enemies if need be. Now, I've mastered every gun in Battlefield 4, so I've got at least 500 kills with each weapon, but not all of those kills were when the guns were at their height. Some of them got patched and upgraded immensely from when they were first launched. The L85A2 is one of those weapons, and I was surprised how much I was actually really enjoying this gun. Even though its rate of fire is not insane and its reload speed isn't the best out there, I didn't have to use an angled foregrip because its first shot recoil is so low. I could use a stubby grip on there and just get incredibly accurate fire. I didn't really need to burst fire. I could take down targets at range going like full auto or 10-round bursts. This thing performed amazingly. If you can deal with the 2.55 second reload time on it, it is a great weapon to have. Then, of course, we have the Scar H, and I'm personally not a huge fan of this weapon. I'm not as good when using the Scar H compared to faster firing assault rifles out there. Some people absolutely love it, but just my personal opinion on this weapon, I don't like it as much. I think the recoil is a little bit too unruly, and the muzzle velocity just isn't really ideal for longer range targets. Then, of course, we have the M416, which I have stated multiple times. It's one of my favorite assault rifles out there. One of the best things about this gun is its 1.85 second reload. It is just so forgiving. If you hit the reload button a little bit too soon and somebody else is coming, you can get that reload off usually before they get there and still take them down. However, if you get good at reload management and do it at the right time or switch to your sidearm when necessary, I think you might actually favor guns like the L85A2 over this one. The first shot recoil on the L85A2 is low enough where I normally run the 416 with an angled grip. You can get away with the stubby grip, but I find I land a few more shots with the L85A2. Even though it has lower aiming down sight accuracy in general, I tend to land more shots with the L85A2, which is kind of interesting. So if your initial shots are on target, you might favor the L85A2 over the 416. Then of course we have the AEK. You're going to see this gun used all the time in the ESL tournaments. It's got that 900 round per minute rate of fire, incredibly high damage per second, and this gun really just comes down to if you can tame it, then it is a great gun to have. Everybody I've seen run this weapon runs with the angled foregrip because it has very high first shot recoil. It's going to kick like a mule, but if you can get used to it, you can tame it, you can fire it accurately, then you've got an assault rifle with 30 rounds in the magazine and a 900 round per minute rate of fire with a 2.3 second reload. Incredibly good, an incredibly effective weapon. Not the best for extreme long range, but medium to close range. There's few that can top this one. And if that's your play style, if you like to engage in medium to close range, then I would say the AEK 971 probably is the ultimate assault rifle for you. Now how about the Ace 23? In fact, the AEK and Ace 23 are the top two guns that you'll see the assaulter classes playing on ESL. So clearly these two weapons seem to serve all the assault rifle functions you could ever want. It's not to say that you wouldn't want to use another weapon because ESL is a very specific game mode. If you need something that's a little bit more versatile or can handle a different quantity of opponents, you might have to look elsewhere. That being said, the Ace 23 is still an incredible weapon, and it was my initial top assault rifle recommendation. Since then, it's gone through quite a bit of changes. Since it was undoubtedly at one point the best assault rifle in the game, there's nothing else that could really compete with it, they have changed up quite a few things. They've increased its first shot recoil, increased its side-to-side recoil in general, and increased its reload time. But they've also given it an extra 5 rounds in the magazine, so it's gotten some pros and some cons. I would recommend running this weapon with an angled grip. You could try a stubby grip or even an ergo grip. Personally, I think I like to run with the angled grip on there just to reduce some of that first shot recoil so my follow-up shots are a little bit more accurate. Its 770 round per minute rate of fire makes it beat out the 416 and the L85A2 in terms of damage per second, and the extra 5 rounds in the magazine really allow you to get multiple kills and repeat corners before you need to reload. It just goes a long way with the versatility of this weapon. So despite the changes that have been made to the Ace 23, it is still top dog when it comes to versatility, and that's one of my favorite aspects of any weapon, is its ability to adapt to any situation. Now again, if you like playing close to medium range mostly, the AEK might favor that situation more. If you really like setting yourself up for medium range engagements rather than getting super close to your opponents, the L85A2 and the 416 are great options. The 416, because of its reload speed, is a little bit easier to work with in close quarters, but the L85A2, because of its such manageable recoil now, makes it a very, very good medium to even longer range weapon. And I gotta say, the L85A2 may be swaying me away from the 416 a bit. Now, one thing that BF4 has done a good job of compared to, say, Battlefield 3 is making sure that there's enough versatility with the weapons that you're not going to find a one gun for every situation solution. The Ace 23 is definitely the most versatile assault rifle here, and it's great in just about any situation, but it's not going to be the best in any situation. So as much as I would like to say the Ace 23 is the best assault rifle in the game, and many people will say that it is, I would say it's the most versatile assault rifle in the game, and that to many people makes it the best. So when it comes to top dog picks for assault rifles, I can still say that the Ace 23 is one of, if not the best assault rifle in the game, but if you like playing close quarters a little bit more, then AEK 971, without question, just objectively speaking, is going to outdamage the Ace 23 and win you those firefights. If you like playing at medium or further range engagements with assault rifles, then the 416 and L85A2 are going to be great options. However, I'm starting to lean more towards the L85A2 because of its insanely easy to manage recoil, allowing me to hit more shots at those further ranges. And the increased muzzle velocity certainly doesn't hurt either. So anyway, those are my personal preferences for assault rifles. I know some people out there enjoy the burst fire weapons. I don't personally, and then some people like the slow rate of fire. Heavy hitting weapons like the Scar H or the Bulldog, again, those personally aren't my favorites. I like having just a more versatile weapon in general, a bigger magazine, higher rate of fire. But if you do like those styles, you might want to consider looking at those weapons. Either way, if you pick any one of those 4 guns I've mentioned, AEK, Ace-23, M416, or LED-5A2, you're going to have one hell of an assault rifle. I hope this video serves as a good update and frankly final analysis of what the best assault rifles are in Battlefield 4. As always guys, thanks for watching and I'll see you next time. This is Level Cap signing off. Hey guys, Level Cap here. Today is Monday, which means it's time for an episode of Loadout, the series where you guys, the viewers, get to pick a gun and customization for me to use. The way you do this is you leave a comment down below letting me know what kind of weapons and accessories you'd like me to use in Battlefield 4, and I will pick one of the top rated comments. Today's top comment comes from Support Guy and his M249. Now there was actually several comments asking me to do a Rick Grimes loadout from The Walking Dead. The season 6 finale is coming up, or technically I think is aired by this point. I'm not sure, I'll have to check the show times, but if you've been keeping up with Walking Dead, it's pretty brutal this season. Lots of killing, lots of gunfights. And of course, the first aspect of this loadout is the classic 44 Magnum, because the 357 isn't in the game. We're also going to be running the primary RPK, since none of the other AKs in the game look like the AK-47. This one's got that classic Woodstock feel. Gadget 1 will be the ammo box, because the TV show characters never seem to really run out of ammo. There's not going to be any secondary gadget. We'll be using flashbangs because they use them at Woodbury. His knife is the machete, of course. Field upgrade will be any. And then he says, survive the zombie apocalypse as Rick Grimes. Just run around the battlefield doing stuff and things and make sure you kill all the saviors. Rick Grimes for the win. And I too have to admit that I'm a bit of a Rick Grimes fan. Will be watching the season finale, and playing here on Operation Locker certainly reminds me of when the crew had their prison complex as sort of a defensive location where they grew crops and defended the prison. And although I don't want to give away any spoilers as to what happened in that situation, let's just say things got intense, as they often do in Operation Locker. Now the RPK-74M is a cool gun. It's one of the few weapons in Battlefield that's got that classic look to it. Battlefield 3 had a lot more of the classic Woodstock weapons before kind of upgraded to the more modern versions of the AKs, but there was enough of a demand for the classic looking guns that they threw the RPK Classic in there, and it's awesome. I kind of hoped that they would throw a classic AK in there as well, but I don't think they're adding anything else to Battlefield 4, so we can only hold out hope for Battlefield 5. Now luckily this weapon has fairly low recoil, so I don't really need a lot of attachments to try and help manage this weapon. Sure, the iron sights aren't going to hold up to your standard red dot sight in Battlefield, but they do have that classic look to them. It's just a little bit more difficult to be precise, and also when you have iron sights on most weapons, especially this weapon here, you've got the entire gun body right below the center crosshair, so it becomes trickier to track targets, especially if you're going for those headshots. You're basically obscuring most of the target that you're shooting for, which is just kind of the problem with iron sights in any first-person shooter, and why red dot sights are really just superior in general, because you can have the floating dot out there rather than being attached to the gun body itself. That being said, a lot of the classic AK platforms weren't originally designed with the intention of being used with red dot sights, and only later got the upgraded rail systems that are kind of attachments anyway. They're add-ons, where the modern M4s and N16s come with rail systems built into them. The modern AKs do as well, but the classic AKs didn't have those, so you kind of had to do